Imagine a world where numbers hide dark secrets and a quiet accountant is more dangerous than anyone knows. This action thriller will keep you glued to your seat with its mix of brains, bullets, and buried pain. Meet Christian Wolf, played by Ben Affleck, a man with autism who's a genius with numbers and deadly with a gun. His life is a puzzle, and every piece reveals a new twist. What drives a man to balance books for criminals? What secrets haunt his past? And what happens when his world of order turns into chaos? The movie opens at a center for children with autism. A strict military father and his wife are there with their young son, Christian Wolf. The staff offers to take Chris in to help manage his autism, but the father refuses, insisting that life is tough and Chris must face it head-on. In the waiting room, young Chris works on a puzzle, softly chanting Solomon Grundy. When a piece is missing, he becomes distressed. A nearby girl quietly hands him the missing piece, instantly calming him. This moment showed how deeply Chris needs structure and order. Fast forward to today. Chris is an adult and works as an accountant. He meets a couple struggling with their finances and calmly helps them save money through tax strategies. Meanwhile, Ray King, the director of the U.S. Treasury, calls in data analyst Mary Beth Medina. He praises her work but reveals her sealed arrest records, using them to pressure her into helping with a special project. King tasks Medina with identifying a secret accountant who hides money for criminals, warning her that failure will cost her job. Back in his quiet life, Chris follows a strict routine. He makes dinner, listens to heavy metal, and uses a rod to massage his shins as part of a ritual to manage his sensory issues. This triggers painful memories of his mother leaving their family one Christmas. Later, he took his medication and drifted off to sleep.
Who are you?
After helping the couple with their taxes, he visits them at their property for a shooting session. His gun skills are amazing, hitting every target with precision. The client is left speechless. Chris then drives to a storage unit, but it's not just any storage. Inside, he reveals a trailer filled with high-end collectibles, valuable artwork, stacks of cash in multiple currencies, and an arsenal of weapons. It becomes clear that Chris is much more than an accountant. A flashback hits, showing Chris in prison, where his cellmate, a federal informant, teaches him how to read people and introduces him to laundering money for criminals. The memory fades as Chris receives a call from a British woman, his secret business partner. She advises him to take on normal clients to avoid drawing suspicion. Hesitantly, Chris agrees. The next day, Chris meets with the heads of a robotics prosthetics company. They explain that their in-house accountant, Dana Cummings, played by Anna Kendrick, found missing funds and they need Chris to investigate. Chris agrees to take the job, promising to start the next morning. Chris heads to the conference room, which is his main workspace. He finds Dana asleep at the table. She wakes up and apologizes, introducing herself as the one who discovered the missing funds. Dana assumes they'll work together, but Chris shuts her down, telling her he works alone. Dana leaves, and Chris dives into the numbers to start his investigation. During a press conference, Medina gets a call from Homeland Security. They've matched an image and found an audio clip where Chris kills a man. At home, Medina isolates Chris's voice in the audio and hears him chanting Solomon Grundy, offering a new insight into him. Meanwhile, Chris has a breakthrough and then pulls Dana into the conference room to show her he's uncovered money being rerouted to a fake company. Before they can investigate further, a shareholder demands answers, but Chris insists he needs more time. Across town, Brax visits a shareholder late at night. He forces the man to take insulin and gives him a choice: inject himself to make it look like suicide, or resist and risk both their lives. Terrified, the man chooses the injection. The next morning, Chris returns to the conference room and finds custodians wiping his work off the windows. The company owner enters, explaining that the shareholder Chris was investigating had killed himself out of guilt. He tells Chris to drop the case, leaving Chris frustrated that he couldn't finish his work. That night, Chris follows his sensory ritual in a harsh way with strobe lights, heavy metal music, and a rod to his shins. The next morning, he notices a car trailing him. He heads to a client's home for target practice. Inside the client's house, 2 armed thugs are holding the couple hostage and forcing the wife to lure Chris inside. As she gets close to the door, Chris shoots one thug from a distance. The second thug panics and tries to escape with the couple in a truck. Chris shoots at the truck, stopping it, drags the thug out, strangles him with a belt, and demands to know who sent him. The thug reveals he was ordered to kill Chris and Dana, but doesn't know who's behind it. Chris kills him and rushes to Dana's apartment. He arrives just as 2 delivery men attack her. Dana fights back and locks herself in the bathroom. Chris bursts in, kills the attackers, and urgently tells Dana they need to leave. Chris brings Dana to his trailer and asks her to wait outside. Curious, Dana steps inside and is shocked to see cash, weapons, and rare valuables. She questions him, but Chris remains guarded. At a hotel, Chris and Dana try to lay low. Dana confronts him about his skills, and Chris opens up and shares how his father trained him and how he lives with autism. Suddenly, he realizes something about the case. The missing funds were not just stolen, they were reinvested and turned into greater profits. Medina digs deeper by cross-referencing high-income aliases and uncovers Chris's true identity, an accountant with a small firm who launders money through cash businesses. Most of his income is donated to neuroscience organizations. Medina calls King with the breakthrough. King reveals to Medina that a British woman tipped him off about an illegal deal. She became his informant. He learned that Chris's cellmate taught him about money laundering in prison. That man was later killed by criminals, which deeply affected Chris. King asks Medina to take over the British woman's calls when he retires. Just then, the landline at Chris's house rings. Medina answers. It is the British woman. She gives a new tip about the robotics company. At the owner of the robotics company's mansion, Brax is on alert. Brax actually works for this man. Chris arrives and eliminates the guards one by one. Watching on camera, Brax hears the Solomon Grundy chant and realizes that it is his brother. He tells the guards to stand down. Brax confronts Chris and unleashes years of anger. He blames Chris for their father's death and for disappearing. Chris lets him vent and listens. The brothers begin to reconcile. When the company owner bursts in and yells at Brax, Chris shoots him on the spot. Later, at a neuroscience center, a couple visits with their autistic son. The boy wanders into a room and meets Justine, the director's daughter. She is nonverbal and uses a computer to speak. Her voice is the same British woman who has been helping Chris all along.
Your son is a remarkable young man. Yes.
Back at her apartment, Dana receives a package. Inside is a classic painting. Beneath the outer layer is a priceless original from Chris's trailer. It is his way of saying he has not forgotten her. Did Chris find peace, or is his life still a puzzle with missing pieces? This was The Accountant, 2016. If this thrilling tale leaves you with more questions than answers, we want to hear your take. Drop it in the comments below. Subscribe and join us next time for another ride that'll keep you up at night.